Do you get sidetracked during a reading? Are you not sure what the cards are trying to tell you and how to interpret them? Is your reading just a hot, freaking confusing mess? Well, guess what? A tarot spread could fix all that. Hi, my tarot bumblebees, it's Ethony, and I have been practicing the tarot craft for over 20 years. And today I'm going to be telling you a little bit about why I think that tarot spreads are much better to use than freeform in some situations. So what exactly is a tarot spread? I liken a tarot spread to being a roadmap to your readings. This roadmap comes with specific placements for each of the cards that give you specific context for reading and interpreting the tarot. Not only that, but the tarot cards and the positions will relate to each other, giving you the ability to give a well-rounded, in-depth reading for your querent or for yourself. Let me know in the comments below, are you a tarot spread person or are you a freeform person? I have definitely come across the opinion that reading with the tarot spread is more confusing than freeform, but I've actually found that that is absolutely not the case. What I do believe that having a tarot spread forces you to do is to learn the multiple facets of the card. And I think some people get a little daunted by that fact alone. So they just go, oh, I'm gonna do freeform because it's hard and I don't wanna do it. But I'm gonna share with you some reasons why you should use the tarot spreads available to you in your books, guidebooks, and on the interweb. My first pro for using a tarot spread is it eliminates context confusion. What does that mean? What it means is it actually allows you to focus in on a specific aspect of a tarot card. If you have a card such as the Seven of Wands in a past position, it's telling you basically that in the past, this person has had to defend themselves or they have been too defensive, and that is how it is affecting the present or the other cards around them. So it gives you a really good way to pinpoint the actual context and meaning of those tarot cards. With freeform, that card could literally mean a million things. Of course, the Seven of Wands, as I use an example, does have a general meaning of defensiveness, but it can also mean that you have the high ground or that you're going into battle. So having those cards mean something more contextualized and more narrow can actually help you pinpoint and give more clarity around your readings. The second pro, it keeps your readings on track. Using a tarot spread will ensure that you are kept on track and you are not going to start going down a million different spiritual rabbit holes, and you're actually keeping the momentum of the reading going. If you give yourself a start and an end, a number of cards you're going to use, you're not actually allowing yourself to go over time. You're not making sure that there's like a billion cards on the table, and you're giving your reading a start, middle, and end. It's a lovely way to round out your practice. When you don't use a tarot spread with freeform, you could start going off a gazillion tangents and start talking about something else. Whereas when you have oh, this is the next card I need to look at, and this is how it reflects and interacts with everything else, and this is what it means for my querent, it keeps you in the tarot reading space. It keeps your attention anchored. Sometimes too with freeform, the question that querent came with doesn't actually get answered, because then you start going on maybe the intuitive or just a kind of a tangent on what the cards are telling you, but that's not what your querent is there for. Your querent wants you to answer a question. So by having a tarot spread, whether you create one or you use one that is available to you, you're making sure that you're answering the question that your querent has come to you for. Another pro with using tarot spreads is that it gives you specific guidance. When you have a querent who has a question, you can find or create a tarot spread that is going to answer their question perfectly. You can design something that is going to fit their situation. When you're using and finding a tarot spread, I recommend that you use something that's 3 to 5 cards unless you're sitting down for a very large session. Some readers can get a full session out of just one card too. It really depends on the type of reading that you're doing and the length of time that you have, but I like 3 to 5 cards to answer one specific question. And find a spread that actually focuses on an outcome to the situation, whether that is some advice, a path possibility forward, or a predicted possible future. Focus on something that is going to be giving your querent something to do, think about, or change, or embrace in their lives. If you don't use a spread when you're reading freeform, you can have this temptation to keep pulling cards until that card that you are thinking that your client wants to get is going to show up. So you have a client who's come in and they want to know about their love life, and you just keep pulling cards until you hit the jackpot with the 10 of Cups, the Ace of Cups, the 2 of Cups, or the Lovers. That's a temptation, especially if you're new or you don't like telling people bad news. Believe me, I've had to tell people that they're probably not going to get married in the year they want to get married or find their soulmate this year. That kind of comes with the territory. But there is a lot less temptation to keep throwing cards out if you give yourself a container with a tarot spread. So now I've talked about some pros for using a tarot spread, and I, of course, have a lot of them and I use them all the time. But are there any cons? And absolutely there are. You can box in your reading. You can shut down your intuition if you haven't learned how to have your intuition play in a specific sandbox. But it can make it feel a little bit constricted if you're not used to it. It can also make your reading feel a little clunky. But what I mean by that is the flow is a little harder when you're also having to interpret with a specific position and then the card on top of that and how that relates to every other position in the tarot spread and every other card in the tarot spread. It can feel a little clunky until you get used to it. My biggest tip here is to practice, 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 practice. One of the great things about learning the way that I did was that you had to use tarot spreads right off the bat. There was no getting around that. My teacher was like, no, you have to learn. And that's how I teach as well, so that you know that this is a natural thing. It's a progression that you are comfortable with. If you also use the Lenormand, your Grand Tableau sort of skills will come into there too, because you have all the houses and the positions in that too. But if you're finding it clunky, practice. It's the only way you're going to get any better. Use different tarot spreads. Use 2 cards, 3 cards, 4 cards. Try until you find something that works for you. And then if it doesn't, it doesn't. Maybe you're a free form reader and there's nothing wrong with that. And remember, you can always alter tarot spreads that you find on the internet. There's nothing wrong with you personalizing them and using them for your own work. And of course, make sure you get my Tarot by the Moon guide, which is free every single year. And I will pop a link to that in the description box below. Are you unsure about what questions to ask the tarot? Well, have I got a video for you? Click over here and I'll go through some of the best questions you can ask for different types of readings. I want to know, so put it in the comments below. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.